for joining me this evening. And also, welcome back my special guest, Zach Keilman, who knows a lot about with the arena football world here, especially with all the new stuff coming and then old kind of new. And then, of course, I have you here because since we got some teams moving and also some new, now, it looks like your state that you live in, Arizona, is becoming saturated with arena football like Michigan is. So it's like, dear Lord, it's like, it's good to have it, but pretty soon it's going to be like, I think we might have too many here. Like, can we get some more in Missouri, please? And especially in St. Louis, I would like one.
Oh, if only the saturated part wasn't already exaggerated enough by me. But we'll see how this goes. Got plenty to talk on that. There's a lot going on right now. We're kind of in like the heat of the off season with a lot of the updates and kind of releases before we hit the real season in a few months. By the way, still weird that spring football season's coming up in just like 2-ish months and change if we're talking depending on the league. So just around the corner. It comes faster than you think.
And especially when I think we'll just start this off real quick since I have you, because we all know, because you and I, we covered UFL in the past and currently, and of course, some teams moved out of market and then moving back into a market, because now we have two arena teams, one in Memphis when the UFL left to go. I'm assuming we'll just say that's the team that's moving to Columbus, because I'm just going to say that's probably that one, because no offense, they're redoing, they're already fired head coaches, so we don't really need to get to that stuff there. So though I will guarantee that probably the Michigan Panthers come back in 2 years.
We can only hope.
Only hope. So, because the Real League announced a team in Memphis, then in the IFL, Massachusetts Pirates now moved to Orlando, and of course that's kind of interesting because I know in our group we kind of talked about, because now it's like, the Orlando Predators sale must not have gone through, or that thing just did not happen whatsoever.
Yeah, that's I think number one. If you aren't following how this all went down, Orlando pulled out last year going into the AF1 season under what I will say, from my understanding, very poor terms and very poorly ran business decisions that led to them choosing to leave. A lot of people got screwed in that situation. Personally, me and others have not been very happy how that went down. So, seeing Massachusetts move in there, the Pirates, that is a franchise that at least has an established ownership group and all that, and one that I think is ready for a fresh start. It's probably the right decision rather than trying to pick up and kind of kick things off again with the Preds branding. I like the move. I think they need a reset. My question is for you, Will, and for others is, can they fix things that they did wrong in Massachusetts? There's a lot of people that complain they never really marketed locally. They weren't really a team that got out and about and tried to spring up that kind of interest, which Orlando is a crowd that does have an established old school arena base, so that does help. But I think the question I have for them is, yes, you can get the players and the big names. Can you do the legwork? And I think that's the thing that's going to be the challenge. That's going to make or break that team. Can they change what they have not done well in the past?
Yes, of course. I'm surprised they're actually playing where the Predators played in the Kia Center. That was the one thing I
think a lot of us are shocked at that, because we know that the rates for that place are not cheap. Well, we know from the escapades of John Chaney and his Preds, it is not a cheap place to play. It is one of the most expensive venues to play, unless you had negotiated a fantastic deal. Everything I understand is you're going to be the third tenant in terms of the rankings list in this arena, and they will not respect you the same way. So maybe something changed. I don't know, but that's an expensive venue, Will.
And then
a sweetheart deal or something. I don't know.
And then here's the thing. They're not the newest Orlando football team in town during there, because he also had the UFL Orlando team now for the second time. Well, technically we'll go with third time for outdoor for spring football there. We're talking, of course, 11-man. This, of course, is the 8-man deal we're talking about here. But as you said, because the Orlando Predators, we know that, though, I'm curious if the Predators banding is now dead or that'll be resurrected somewhere else, probably. Who the heck knows?
Maybe. I would like to have it back, but fascinating point. You have the UFL coming into town. Credit still has to be determined. You have to see if that succeeds, but it's going to be similar type of season. And I think at least for this year, not saying that it'll be a direct impact, but interesting that the Jaguars will be borrowing Orlando as a market, at least for this year. And I know they don't play the same time, but trust me, people, the NFL likes to be the dominant media presence wherever it goes. Do not underestimate that as being a thing that draws away or is a distraction to some of these teams trying to bring in at least some sort of presence in that market. So I know they're different sports. I'm just bringing it up as, hey, consider all factors in football. The NFL being in town, even if it's not playing in the same season, they're going to force their way into that market some way or another for at least a year. The Jaguars are going to get tickets. So just keep that in mind. That's something that I have to point out there is it'll be around.
And then I know that the officials in Orlando are going to say, like, we only have this team NFL for a year. Is this something we could try to leverage? Because I'll say this, Tampa Bay does have a stadium issue coming. So that's another thing. Then you could possibly have 2 teams in Orlando that are pirate-based, a possibility in the future, which that could cause some confusion, copyright in the future.
I'll try and leave that at the doorstep for remembering later. I think that one would be more just around the same deal. Like I said, there is a lot of football interest in Florida as well. I think you just need to be careful navigating the next year or so, especially if you're the UFL and the IFL here, because again, you're gonna be fighting for media attention. The NFL is an all-year thing. You just got to keep people focused and find the right people. That takes work. Some of these leagues we've noticed, they don't like working the extra bit to get the elbow grease for tickets. So I'm hoping that changes because Massachusetts and the UFL, they both have not exactly been great examples of working for their customer, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then also, too, because as someone that has been part of a team being taken away from their city that they live in, because the last episode, I read the press report here, but there was one thing that was aligned by the IFL commissioner, Todd Tyron, that kind of like, well, if you decide to go back into the New England area of Massachusetts, they're going to remember this type of quote. I don't know if you were... I'll read the whole paragraph here. It says, The relocation represent both growth and opportunity for the Pirates organization for the Indoor Football League and for the passionate sports community Orlando, said IFL Commissioner Todd Tyron. The Yadam family has invested heavily in building a strong, recognizable brand with the Pirates. We're excited to see them move into market that truly reflects their vision and energy. Let me repeat that again. Into a market that truly reflects their vision and energy. I don't know, and I said this, that quote could come to bite them in the butt in the years to come if they ever decide to go back into any market in the New England area, because I know the IFL wants to keep growing and also going to Northeast. It's kind of profitable, maybe not Massachusetts, but certainly like New York, the New Jersey, or like those type of areas, and they're going to remember that.
Yeah, well, you make your bed the way you want to, and you choose to sleep in that and live with that, if you know what I'm trying to say. Look, the whole escapades of the Pirates, I know there's others that'll say, well, they moved different arenas, they've tried to do that. It's like, yes and no. Again, if you talk to certain fans in that fan base, I wouldn't say it's been the greatest efforts to try and advertise that team up there. They've spent a lot of money getting players, but player names, as you and I know, Will, they aren't the end-all, be-all to instantly sell tickets. They can assist if you use it the right way, but I would not say the Massachusetts Pirates have been like the grade A, cream of the crop advertising team in terms of promoting themselves from any stretch of the imagination that I have understood. So it is what it is. I also should say, too, something that's interesting with the IFL, if you look at the map now, Will, what has become, and credit, it's spread out a little bit, but now it's a very regionalized IFL once again. The IFL in its origins and most of its early years started out as more regionalized. They tried kind of branching out a little bit to be more kind of national. And credit, there is still definitely that presence, Indianapolis being that, of course. Massachusetts was that extension to the Northeast. They never could get that other Northeast partner. And so with Jacksonville down there, and logically the Predators fold out, and some stories say were kind of coerced to move out, if you will, from AF1. They saw the opportunity, they slid in, and basically give Jacksonville a nice partner in the region where it's not the Sharks kind of being on an island. So it's a very regionalized setup right now. And I think that's kind of what the IFL is going to go back to, is being like these pockets of kind of regions of teams to make it easier for travel costs, for teams that are trying to make this work and say, hey, don't leave us out here fending for ourselves. We don't want to do that business. Massachusetts did that for several years, and I don't think that helped their case either. Them being the only Northeast team that teams had to spend money to go fly up there and then have to go and do that. That's not a very, I think, sustainable thing unless you find multiple teams nearby you to make it more affordable with like less travel costs, like say buses and whatnot, more road sake. But, clearly more regionalized. It's interesting. Whereas AF1, you're seeing more nationalized. Which one will work? Well, history is not really leaning in one favor for the national section, but to be determined.
Yeah, because I looked at all the maps of all the leagues here, because even we'll call the smallest one, which is the return once again to the America Arena League, which is what, its third or fourth iteration right now.
It just keeps on giving, coming back.
It's like the AL2 has lasted longer than the AAL at this point.
You might as well just make it the AAL, because I don't know why the two is. I don't know why you keep the two name. Just make it the AAL.
That's what they're doing. They remember their fourth team, because the three. Hold on, I have that actual map with their schedule here, because later in the show we're gonna break down, because believe it or not, the first arena football game happens in about less than 40 days.
It's wild though, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course it's in a league that technically has not finished their schedule yet, and I'll explain that in a bit. And of course now, oh great. Thank you, Winter, for slowing the internet down for my laptop. For those people that don't know, Missouri right now, beginning right after Thanksgiving, the first snow in November that happens every 3 to 4 years, and then now another winter. It's already winter weather here, an early winter here in the Midwest. Zach knows what I'm talking about, especially with living in Chicago and all those years. Of course, now he's in, I would say, a little bit cooler Arizona right now.
It's like fall right now. It's like fall Midwest temps right now. It's very nice. It's my type of weather out this way.
Hold on here. Of course, that kicks me out of that one photo I have here. But while I get that, because we're not, like I mentioned before, the Memphis and the Arena League added the Memphis team. That, to me, that makes sense, according with the relocation and all that stuff too. They got local ownership, though. Though the Axemen might get a rebranding from what I hear because of the ownership problems that had, though. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that goes, though. That seems like the strongest franchise, because people have to remember the Duluth Harbor Monsters are now in the AF1, rebranded as the Minnesota Monsters, which, of course, there was that whole debacle there with the head coach there. Then now that head coach actually left because of what the best way to say it, mental health is the best way he put it. And then the guy they promoted, that I think it was the offensive coordinator up as the head coach. And though I still think Duluth in the first year to AF1 is going to make an impact. And though also does seem like as you and I have a predecessor, the Washington Wolfpack actually is going to be a lot better than they have been the last 2 years, hopefully.
I like what the Wolfpack are doing in terms of getting what appears to be better quality roster additions this year. Duluth has been very busy, although busy in the sense of we added a lot of people, and now you're seeing a lot of mix of release and adding people. So I don't know if that's course correct on how the budget is or whatnot, but they are clearly adjusting the roster very actively right now. Darren Clark, former receiver, is now heading up that operation. So this is his big comeuppance and his big get as a head coach. So congrats to him again for getting this opportunity. And yeah, I mean, a lot of activity right now in terms of the Arena League. Also should mention, if you saw this, Heartland Events Center mentioning they're going to have a Nebraska team coming to Grand Island.
Yeah, that
former IFL market.
So, yeah, that makes sense. And Nebraska actually needs to be in the arena football market, especially in the Midwest. Especially with the whole Cornhusker thing there. It still bogs my mind. actually, why not have it in Lincoln and playing the where the basketball team is? That would make, because we already know that they are that the Kentucky Barrows are playing in a university arena.
Yep.
Start doing that, so that actually would do well. Okay, now finally got, because for those that don't know, the AAL came back and they got mostly teams that have gotten that transfer out of the National League, which of course was the Wheeling Miners and the Orlando Lions. Then they added the Jersey Bearcats and then the Mississippi Wolfpack, and I can't recall if one or both of those came from the AL2. I know one of them was.
Hmm.
So I think that's the plan, is that they'll still add some teams from other expansion type things, but they'll also just promote from the AL2. That's how how I see that's how it looks like their business strategy at this moment, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, look, you already have teams that are ready to go at this level of arena where it's like really small budgets, really small commitments in several ways. I think it's just easy to just kind of brand it as your main AAL. The AAL's been so topsy turvy as a brand for years now, anyhow. So you might as well just brand it as your primary if it's the same teams that have been sticking by you or at least are committing to you so far. There's no reason to try and keep the 1 and 2 levels of a league that's barely being able to exist at one level through several years. So, get who you can that will be on your side and just try and make a base. I mean, I know this space is very chaotic, but the AAL, it is the ultimate chaos engine of
Yeah.
leagues.
Yeah, then after that's the AIF, and then I don't know. Like, honestly, we'll get back to it because
We get below the AAL and I start just going, what league now? Because that's AAL's like my like just enough to where I follow it and I keep up with the updates type of league.
I went to the games when the River City Rares were part of the first year of the AAL. Of course, that didn't end great, with a lot of questionabilities with the owner Kenny back then. So them and the Western Michigan Ironmen, if I recall, and of course now they're in the AAF, but we'll get back to them sooner. Yeah. So like because we're gonna actually have a few leagues start in April, including the AAL, and like that's gonna be interesting because they haven't announced like their games, but I'm assuming YouTube or stream it on Facebook. It's how that's gonna go with that one. Now, just quickly go back to the Orlando Pirates, because right during the Thanksgiving week, which everyone took a break off due to the holidays, they of course announced their first two signings when they have been Orlando. They have signed a few from Massachusetts, from what I recall. Of course, the big one. Well, the first one, of course, was Nywan Murray, the wide receiver. First season but was with the San Antonio Gunslingers recently. Then, of course, the biggest one is, of course, Taula Talavera. I hate their names; it's hard to pronounce. Which, of course, is Tua's brother, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. Though for how long, that's going to be a question. That's a whole different show. So,
Yeah, you're Talia Tagovailoa, you're talking?
yeah.
Yeah. No,
So
that was, I like again, great name recognition pickup. I'm curious how much he will be the main guy they go with. I know he was used more so later in the season last year. So perhaps he is the guy they're going to start with this season. Not sure. It depends. Massachusetts is very much we look for any opportunity to bring in a big name like free agent or person to change mid-season. So kind of depends on how I think things kick off in the year and how much they believe he is the guy in this system.
Yep. And then to close up with the stuff, talk about the IFL, we have to announce the biggest thing, and a real good TV deal is that the IFL announced a broadcast deal with FanDuel Sports Network. Let me be clear, FanDuel Sports Network. There's another thing with FanDuel. It's not that one. Let me be clear with that one. This, of course, is the what formerly was Bally Sports. Then before that, Fox Sports, all their regional networks that had to be sold off when they were bought by Disney. So now FanDuel owns that. And so here in the St. Louis area, which of course is we have that, which also broadcasts the Blues, the Cardinals game, and also for some reason in our region, the Indiana Pacers and the Memphis Grizzlies games. So we get all that there. And then there's other games too. We get some volleyball stuff and all that stuff from college and stuff. So it's a good network, to be clear. Of course, you can either subscribe to the network, which is about $30 a month or 20, depending on the plan you get. Or you could just subscribe depending on if it's part of your cable or streaming plan now. Like mine is with Spectrum, with the package I get, so I get it through there. So it's a good deal. I think it's a lot better than what they have. So it's at least they're not on Stadium, but because believe it or not, it's a lot better picture than it is on Stadium, I will admit.
Yeah. So this is a good deal in terms of what you're getting for like a bigger name for a broadcast partner, you know, with that included. And this is something I stress a lot with in terms of the TV side. Yes, you are going to see a rise in terms of price, because no matter what, you're going to be paying more to watch these games, which, by the way, interesting part of this is only a section of the games are being sold to FanDuel Sports Network. Only like 62 of like the 117 inventoried games are going to FanDuel, along with the Western Conference Championship and the IFL Championship this year. So we don't know who the other partner is or where these other games are going to land right now. So that's something you got to keep in mind. So the downside is you're paying more overall this year for games. However, and this is something that also was announced recently too, when they announced their new front office, the broadcast standard, they are claiming they are going to put a lot of effort into this year to raise that, to make it premier. Now, to be determined, because I've heard this year over year that teams and companies are going to do this, but it seems like, based on things we hear in the background, you and I, they are at least making an effort, that they are going to focus on, we want higher up people. It seems like they're making a lot of changes, especially to local talents and like local broadcasting people they're choosing. And I think they're trying to focus more on national talent. So I'm interested in what they're going to do with that. But you can access it easily. You can find these easily. And FanDuel Sports Network is a bigger name. It's a bigger cable property. So good for that. And they're stressing the league that you do have to make certain steps to move forward to kind of grow it. Now, to be determined. You know, I think that's the thing. Will they keep growing? We'll see. The IFL Network, I'm interested in how that plays a part in all this as well. But this will be this will be the most unique broadcast setup for any arena league or indoor league starting this year. You know, the AF1 still, we're waiting on that too. But like, I digress, Will. It seems like they're going multiple partners and all that. Curious what the monetary values are on what they're going to get kickbacks for, with or without. So there's a lot at play with these things. Yeah.
And according to the press, it looks like they're going to have a Sunday night games, which is kind of similar for AF1 Vice. Those were mostly Saturday night games, I believe. So if I'm looking at the schedule, and it's more likely, yeah, and I understand if they start with this game. And just to remind people, because I went through this, the schedule for the IFL is always funny, even though I call it basically the CFL of indoor football, because it's just how many weeks it has, because it's 20 weeks, and how long the CFL season is. Because the thing that's weird to me, because first week it's 4, then it's like little, then it's everyone, then it's back compact again, then it expands again. That's just how it is with their arena schedules and how that is, because as of right now, it looks like the first Sunday night game on FanDuel Sports Networks, and that's, like I said, the Vegas Nighthawks at the Green Bay Blizzard at the Rish Center, and right now it just has the dates, the times of these games are TBA at this moment, so that is a good game to start with. And then just to, again, close out, because speaking of Green Bay Blizzard, just shortly earlier today, they're having kind of a collaboration with, because I almost forgot, because I've been to Green Bay once. That was back in the 90s to tour Lambeau Field. That was like 1 or 2 years after they won the Super Bowl with Brett Favre as their quarterback. And
well, dang, that's pretty cool. At least it's pretty cool. While Will's getting back here, you know, I'll say that I think I like this university collaboration, just so to speak. Just kind of, I didn't mean to take over for you there, but I just wanted to keep the combo going. But to kind of go with the flow here, look, the Green Bay the Pirates, the Green Bay Blizzard, they are obviously not the main show in town, but they got a good fan base. And I think one thing that they noticed last year, I'm wondering if this is an idea that's going to start spreading around the IFL, is Jacksonville took an idea. What if we partner up with a university in our local community that is very much connected with the local community in a way, and we try and promote them and also kind of promote their brand and kind of make a collaboration out of it. Last year they did this, and Green Bay is going to be doing this too with Green Bay Phoenix University. So I wouldn't be surprised you start seeing more of that stuff happening. It feels like between them and now like we've talked about with AF1, how it feels like, and how they've mentioned at the Kentucky Barrels Conference that the college route might be something we see more and more if communities want to and colleges want to collaborate for maybe a different revenue stream or a different way of bringing people in to their university to spend money on their university as well. Wouldn't be surprised if this keeps happening, though. You know, I think it's telling that we're already having a second team do this in 2 years. So just keep your eyes out. I think anything's open as long as your team is connected well with your community partners. That's the key difference between team to team to team is, are you connected with your community well, or are you just there and trying to sell your stuff and say, hey, buy an advertisement, that's all we care about. So I think that's Green Bay is clearly showing they are very well connected. They've been, but fascinated who else does this, because I think it's going to keep spreading.
Yeah, and they also kind of need to make a little splash since their star quarterback and running back is now in Arizona Rattlers now. So
yes,
well, that's
I still hear that there is a lot of sting off that move. Yeah, still not pretty for how that went down.
Yeah, especially I think the Clark was because of some type of trade, which I'm still kind of confused about. So I don't know. Just to let her know, because I explained this year's free agency, like we had trades, but then we also had some suspensions that are still unexplained as of right now for not just one league, but multiple leagues. So,
yeah.
it just doesn't make sense, of course. Okay, just get it down here because, like I said, like I told you about, we're less than 40 days, and of course that starts with the AIF. Of course, that's the team which basically earlier this year, it was basically West Michigan Ironmans winning it or bust, somehow them losing it. I just didn't see how that was going to happen. They got some more teams. They already released their North schedule, but they have yet to release the southern part of their schedule yet, which like I said, I checked before the show and they still haven't announced it, and they still have some teams. They need to release that soon unless the South is pretty much non-existent anymore because it still says on their schedule North.
Toughie there. Yeah. I think there's some catching up to do.
Yeah, though there wasn't really much teams in the South compared to the North, though. It's interesting to see because they got a Wyoming team now in the North. Of course, the Cornville Chaos, of course, that was the team that lost their center within a tragic car accident. Mm-hmm. And now they actually moved and rebranded. So I think that's the Muskies one, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, just make it, because it's hard for me to get through because we got all this going on here. So just to remember that, because technically, usually arena starts either at the beginning or mid-March, but now it's at the end of January. Weird how that goes now. Of course, AIF, and they've been inconsistent on this, I will admit, because sometimes they put it on YouTube or sometimes they just put it on the Facebook feed and forget to put the YouTube link on there for some reason. I'm a little bit confused why they did that last year. Yeah. Like, video-wise, it's good. Audio, it needs work. Hopefully they fix that this year.
I'm open for their sake as well. The AIF, I don't know what to think of the AIF, man. I've tried with them. I really do. And they got some teams, I guess, that, like, I don't know, the West Michigan Ironmen, they still puzzle me because I feel like it's a team that's been dying, at least fans have been dying to see go to a higher up league, but some ownerships just don't want to do that. So I guess we sit there and we wait to see what happens.
Because I think we all agree the perfect league for them is probably the AF1 right now. Probably it's,
Well, it's either that or like minimum NAL. The NAL seems like it's the first rung of like the bigger league tiers at this point.
yeah.
So like I don't know that this is a hypothetical world. Finances and like monetary assets and how you feel like you can budget yourself for a year is what's going to dictate this. But it just feels like the Ironmen have been around forever. They were close to
Hey,
being an
I,
IFL
I,
team at one point.
I seen them play twice at the Family Arena back in 2016 and 2017. They beat the River City Raiders in the playoff game that unfortunately was on a Monday, and me and my brother were one of the few people that were able to attend that game, and we
Mm-hmm.
lost by 7 points because of a bad call by an official. that yeah, so it was
Oh yeah.
like it's weird and how that goes. And speaking of the NAL, I think like because you and I we and everyone talking, this might be the strongest year that league has seemed in years, and now they're probably the easiest traveling league for in all arena football because I compared it and showed it here on the map. It's like it's depending on the mirror image you're doing, it's either a greater than or less than sign on how all those teams are. And honestly, I have a feeling if St. Louis does get a arena team, the NAL might be looking at that market pretty quickly because of its location, because of all the Kansas teams. And just another thing too, because I actually went to Shavitz Arena. That was a possibility. Nah, it's too small, so it's either going to be Enterprise or more likely Fam Arena if a arena team plays in the St. Louis area. Unfortunately, it's just too small. Though I am surprised how Disney on Ice was able to perform somewhere in the Shavitz Arena all those years ago. Weird. Okay.
Maybe different standards at the time. The NAL, I mean, look, there's not much going on besides maybe there's some interesting merch stuff that's been happening with them. I'll give them credit. Their partnership with Goat Sports, they've been getting a lot of like custom items that you can do, which I'm like, hey, that's pretty nice. You don't see that in any of the other bigger leagues, IFL or AF1, though. AF1 did announce there's some merch coming from a deal that we'll probably chat about shortly, but NAL wise, like you're absolutely right, Will. It's funny I talk about the IFL being regionalized. The NAL takes that to like the definition 100%. I mean, it's back to its CIF roots now, at least for who actually is running the league in one strip just up the Midwest, kind of by the Mississippi River or that kind of gateway to the West type of setup into the Great Plains. And, for the size of the league, for the budgets they're dealing with and all this, and for them, I think really just trying to be stable. Because look, as long as you and I have known the NAL, and especially how long I've been involved with the NAL, I do not trust stability with this league worth a damn. And this might be, and I say this because I say this every year, but I'll say it again. This might be the year where they can pull it off and have a single year where no teams get lost, no craziness in the offseason or with teams mid-season. Because it feels like they actually have teams back in order that fit their kind of diagram, if you will. And also the fact is that most of these teams are stable franchises that have been around the block for most time. It's really about talking and seeing like, hey, did Louisiana or Dallas move past their issues they've had in the past? Amarillo has a franchise owner that's been around the block. Do they have their things together where they will have a stable Amarillo team this time around that fixes and off the things that finishes and doesn't avoids the things that the Dusters ran into when they tried to get set up last year? So, signs say, from what I understand, yes. Pueblo, I'm curious how that team operates. We'll find out, but it's close to the Colorado Spartans. That helps a ton. So this is the best chance it's got. There's still been a little funny business because Dallas already lost its head coach. Credit, they're about to get one that's been in the space and a former QB in Robert Kent. But like, feels like maybe this time I'm not jinxing it. Feels like I do it every year, Will. This might
I
be
know. It's just like it. I'm just amazed because I just remember the mishaps in there. Of course, remember they lost their champion to the AF1, the Baymont Renegades. That are now in the AF1. Then they got I don't know, the Dallas Bulls. Like you, as we were on before, it's like you were here, then you went away, then you came back, and then of course they added the Kansas teams that left the AF1. Though I don't know if it'll happen. Does the Wichita Irregulators come back the following year if they get their crap together? So we'll have to see about that. So I don't know. It's like they're I know they're planning to grow and they probably got markets in the same. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised St. Louis is in their plans or all the arena leagues with St. Louis and stuff at just easy travelability spots within the country. Of course, like because it just has to happen. Then we'll see. Of course, I think all the NAL games were still on YouTube. I think because they have yet to announce any type of TV deal, which I don't think it's going to happen unless they're.
I mean, anything could change, but quite frankly, if they stick with YouTube, that's fine. Just more of advice. Someone needs to realize they got to run that like with tip top shape with how YouTube operates in terms of copyright strikes anymore. Because that we've seen more and more, Will. The idea of moving away from YouTube has turned out to be the better option for leagues that can do it because YouTube is so unstable with how it operates with copyright anymore. So I don't like the NAL could have an option. We don't know, but hopefully this time they've learned their lessons from last year with them losing their channel because that was a lot of a sub base to deal with that you had to restart. You know,
and then also fix all the problems with all the audio stuff that happened a few times as well. So yeah.
What did he say? What did he say? I couldn't hear him very well.
And then there's, I don't know, there was one game, I can't remember which one, I think it was Louisiana, either they were home or away. Of course, one thing we have to talk about, because they had that store open up, and then the Idaho Horsemen were taking a dormancy break. Mm-hmm. Then for some reason, it showed Arizona Horsemen, but then that disappeared, so could be another Arizona team coming there. So well,
I mean, wherever they go, just let me know. I guess I'll check it out. I mean, I've made. I should mention, Will. I've hit the trifecta as of last year. So all three of the big ones I hit last season with the Rattlers, the Wranglers, and the Sugar Skulls. So I now have all of them. I just need my next Infinity Stone if this International Arena League team does actually pan out.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a few. So going to AF1, of course, like you mentioned before, because they announced their apparel provider, and it's actually a good one. They had a multi-partnership with Game One / Under Armour as an official apparel provider. I'll read the press release a little bit quickly here. Arena Football One is proud to announce a multi-year partnership with Game One and Under Armour as the official apparel providers of Arena Football One, beginning on January 1st, 2026. As a result of this partnership, Game One will outfit all AF1 athletes, coaches, and staff in Under Armour uniforms, performance wear, and sideline apparel for all team activities. On behalf of the Arena Football One, this landmark partnership was led by longtime industry executive Jerry Kurtz, Mark Rota of the AF1 Manager Group, and league staff members Gary Compton and Christy McEwen. Their combined efforts and expertise issued a robust agreement that provides high-quality products, evaluates athletic performance, and unifies the league's brand identity. The partnership reflects a shared commitment to excellence and innovation, values that define Under Armour. Game One in the AF1 as Under Armour celebrates its 30th anniversary in 2026. Geez, 30 years. This collaboration highlights the brand's continued dedication to engineering performance solutions that help athletes perform at their best. AF1 Commissioner Jeff Fisher praised the partnership, stating this agreement with Game One and Under Armour is more than a uniform deal. It's a long-term investment in the future of Arena Football One. Together, we're building something that will benefit our athletes, fans, and teams for years to come. Game One is excited to join forces with Arena Football One in a partnership built on performance and passion, said Pat Weber, President and CEO of Game One. AF1 continues to grow and game in dynamic ways, and together with Under Armour, we're committed to supporting the momentum through premium products, service, and long-time collaboration. In the very near future, fans will see Under Armour merchandise available online through team retail outlets, offering more options to support their favorite athlete teams with premium performance products. And oh, dear Lord, I wonder how much that's going to cost. Under Armour ain't cheap.
Well, I mean, sure, we'll find out. I mean, I'm curious how much more they'll be able to add on compared to, say, well, the IFL, which if you were curious why Game One might sound familiar, That's the exact same company the IFL got into a deal with last year. Difference is the IFL went with their Adidas setup for a package, and Under Armour is going to now be for AF1 through that. So basically, both of these leagues are now being outfitted via Game One, who gets the Under Armour apparel and this jersey setup, and they send it and supply it to the leagues. Things that are different though is, and credit, we'll have to see how this pans out, because the IFL does have a store link, but you're not really going to find like the official Game One Adidas stuff store. They're just linking to all the teams. So they don't actually have an official store. Whereas AF1's claiming they're going to be doing an official store with Game One via Adidas or via Under Armour as the supplier. So fascinated to see what changes there. But it's quality stuff. And if you saw what the IFL went through last year with their jerseys, they got a lot of praise for the quality Adidas gear that they were wearing, because it really elevated things, which honestly for AF1, Will, I think they should be thrilled. Anyone who's following this league should be thrilled, because no BS with the jerseys this season. SSS is out, which, I mean, they're definitely out because Corpus Christi was what they were under, and they're out too. So they're out. No touching that, no jersey delays. If Game One delays jerseys in any way, then that questions, well, does that mean two leagues are getting delayed jersey orders? Because that's the thing is, Game One now has a cornered market on the two biggest leagues in this space. So you're going to be supplying two big corporations in that way with multiple teams, both likely going to have double-digit teams by the beginning of their season. So good partnerships. And again, it's going to look good. Under Armour stuff looks solid. You know what it is in the UFL. We see the DS looks great with the IFL. It's going to look good with the Under Armour stuff in the AF1. So they got to be thrilled. It's not as big as a broadcast deal like some of us wanted, or like you and I wanted to see at that time, but it's necessary because that question needed to be answered. It's a good pickup.
Yeah, because if people don't know the whole Evergreen thing that happened last season, that's not happening because Evergreen is no longer in existence. Though the app, like before I deleted the app, was still kind of operating, and it still had the AF1 games backlogged on there.
Right.
Before I deleted it, but it was weird. It's like, is anyone, it's like, it's just the ghost town in here. It's like the old, like, rooms for like games that are somehow still online, but just not yet closed. For even some X360 games, I think the old Ghostbusters game room is still open. The last time someone said, "Hey, I played it on there." Like, how?
It's interesting. It is so interesting.
Yeah,
yeah. And I think that's what a lot of us are kind of in the background, along with fans, are curious. Like, if Evergreen's out, which it seems like that platform more just did not work out in terms of getting financially viable, what is the play? Because Jerry Curse has talked at every press conference for new teams this year that Vice is in. They are still a partner, according to Jerry, for next year. So the question is, first off, how much is Vice involved? Are they still just the Saturday night in arena broadcast, or like weekend broadcast, because it depends on the schedule? Or are they expanding coverage? Supposedly there's another partner coming into play. We hear Jeff Levesque hint at it a lot. We'll see. He has described it as a revolutionary partner.
And then I believe they're supposed to announce two more teams still, because for
Max 2 is
because for, like I said before, the Billings Outlaws are technically in limbo now because they're actually for sale. Then of course their current owner, that selling team, right after that announcement, somehow did a photo on his Instagram in Arizona, which is like, oh great, is he looking for Arizona?
I don't know about that, but
I'm making a joke here. It's just
no. I get it, because it seems like everyone wants to be over here. They want to be in the Grand Canyon state so bad, Will.
I know Arizona doesn't have a hockey team anymore, but it's not like every hockey team can, if you lose that, can support 1 to like 5 arena teams. It's just
right.
All right. Well, and yeah, it's all weird, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I say what annoys me, by the way, with this whole thing? So you have the Billings Outlaws put out this press release that they are going.
Oh yeah, and I read it. And it was very Stanley Kroenke-esque light, is how I would put it.
The wording, not a fan personally. But the fact is they put out this presser or this PR. And you know what's annoying? And this is just something that we've noticed in our little group. And I think I'm just used to this at this point with most of these leagues, unless you're the IFL. Communication just not making sense, because while the Billings Outlaws are saying, "Oh, we're not playing next year. We're selling the team. We're trying to reset for 27." Why are they listed on the website and as part of the active teams? Why is there no PR about Billings going out? What is going on with the Billings Outlaws? I am believing that they're not playing next year, Will, but why is this so poorly conveyed that they are still playing or are still part of it? Sure, maybe the argument is, okay, we'll keep the team on the website because we haven't fully gotten rid of them. Good, great. Why doesn't the league say that? The league has said nothing about this team going dormant. They've just let this sit there for now near a month as just, oh, well, they said it. That's fine. No, that's not. What are you doing? You're making super confusing for people that, oh, Billings has a team. Great. Oh, no, they don't have a team. Actually, their website, last I checked, doesn't work. So what are you talking about? Oh, it does.
Well,
I
Zach,
checked. It does.
I do have to remind people this is a league that didn't actually respond to how Corpus Christi was playing scab players that one week and still has yet to explain that.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Well, yeah. I got nothing to say with that. My point being, this could be solved so much if you just had people running that department again. I won't go too much farther, Will, because I don't want to be sounding like I'm petty here, but knowing what I know, it's annoying that they don't have the certain people for this department and are just being like, who cares? We'll just do the bare minimum. It's okay. It's no big deal. Who needs a presser? Who needs social media consistently? I don't. I've been yelling at this for years to people. Who needs to do these things? Not me.
Hold on here. Hey, are you back?
I still
like-
hear you.
I can't hear you. It sounds like you're muted.
Check 1, 2.
Hold on. Let me take you out and put you back in.
Hello.
Yep. Now your sound's back.
Interesting.
Like I said, winter wonderland, how the internet connections go, even though the connection is underground. So yeah, I agree with you, Zach, though. Like, I guess we'll get out, like, if you wanted to, because we couldn't hear you, if you want to redo what.
All I was saying was I've seen enough to stop yelling as much about the social stuff, because clearly teams do not care as much as I do, and I guess it just is what it is. So
yeah,
it
just said
all I know is by the beginning of the year, someone in the league is going to say something about Billings, because it has to be said. You can't just have the team say something and then the league just completely whiff on telling people what's going on. So I don't know.
Yeah, just I'll put my preference. I'll go with. It just seems like it's not business ethics like Billy Madison. I'll compare this to an episode of The Cosby Show where Mr. Huxtable said, like, his daughter brought this one guy, and basically he said, like, the presentation was on a trash can, this steak dinner, if you guys remember that episode. That's basically what this is. If you guys know the reference. Okay, so the final part we're going to talk about is the newest league and the one with the most question marks, but still intrigued, because this doesn't, so far, I do not want to have another entertainment football association thing like we had this year, Zach. I was really hoping that, especially with the New York Dragons, I really wanted that franchise to come back. It still could, but we'll see how. I don't know. It'll be years, but I really would. Like, now we're going to talk, which is the International Arena League. They have announced 11 of their 12 teams so far. It's still confusing that the 12th team is going to be announced in a documentary coming out December 15th. That's interesting strategy, but it's like that one thing from basketball into the strategy, Cotton. We'll see how that's going to work out here. So as of right now, this is a league that's both in the United States and Europe. And to go by here, we'll start because the first teams, and I actually do like the logo, which is the Las Vegas Rockers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you got then you got the Cincinnati Slingers. So that's interesting with Kentucky Barrels so close by. So,
Yeah.
uh, and then the team name that I like because it actually is the name of my fantasy team, which is the Arizona Juggernauts. Mine is the Brutal Juggernauts. So that actually is a pretty good, and I do kind of like the logo, and hopefully you're able to go to a game, Zach, to see how that goes.
Well, we will certainly find out. Yeah. I'll let you know because I already have somebody over here that wants to check that out too. And hey, as long as it shows up and they play week 1, I'll check it out.
And we both know a guy in Vegas that's going to look up the Rockers there to see that covers
That we will too.
the Nighthawks. And then, of course, the one in the United States, the name that I'm not really a fan of is the Utah team, the Great Eights.
I'm trying to understand the name. There's probably something local about that. Like the only name that comes up for me that's number wise is the Mighty Five, but that's a reference to the national parks, which clearly is not 8. I need to look this up.
Yeah.
Utah.
Then you got, of course. Oh, go ahead.
Here we go. Oh, I guess never mind. I misunderstood this. Grade 8 is likely referring to Utah road trip that includes the 8 national and state parks. So
Okay.
that could be very much the reference is I'm not thinking of the state parks because it's 5 national parks. It's called the Mighty Five. I don't know what the state parks are, but that makes sense. The logo also looks like if you check it out, it does have like almost like a road marker thing on it. So that seems to track. That's what that is.
I like the colors though.
Yeah, that's very Utah-esque. I like it too.
Yeah, then of course you got the Canadian team, the Saskatoon Crushers, which is another team that evolves a metal hammer. So it's like so many there. Then of course, I hate I don't know, like I'm looking at the one that's on their site here, the Glasgow team. Is it the Spartans or the Tartans? I can't, because whoever thought to put the background.
I might have just lost connection with you, but to clarify, you got me again?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. So to clarify that, because I was curious as well, tartan is a pattern cloth made of interlocking horizontal and vertical bands of multicolored threads, creating a symmetrical design known as a set, which is from Scotland.
Yep. I just hated whoever placed the logo. It should have been on with the other 8 logos here with a different color background because you could barely see it.
Yeah, it does look like you almost have a misprint of the name, but that name does again. That's not a bad regional name. I'll admit.
And honestly, I could see a lot of arena football style players in Scotland. Dear Lord, with all the Highland games, you will find some very good offensive linemen for arena football in Scotland.
Yeah.
And especially in Glasgow. Then, of course, the other European teams, you got the Sturgeon Stallions. Though the Stallion's name is though I like the colors, the Stallion's name is kind of getting.
Oh, sorry, you mean Stuttgart. That's where
Stuttgart, yes.
Convenient because the Surge are actually going bankrupt. So one out, the other in.
And then you got the England Eruptors, which basically looks like a tiger on fire with a fire mane.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit confused. That you got the Zurich. Oh dear Lord, that one's a little bit hard to pronounce. Zurich,
Ibex.
Ibex. It's just, and their animal logo is is that a caribou or is that a ram?
No, it's probably more like a ram.
The way the horns are designed is throwing me off.
Yeah, and Ibex is it's like a mountainous goat with a lot longer horns. Just look that up as well, by the way. I don't know that off the top of my head. But
so the final 2 teams is that I actually like the designs of these. The Dusseldorf Warriors with the basically looks like a Cerberus as their mascot, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
So and then what I find is the most beautiful one out of all of them is the Halifax Highlanders having a kind of like skull, looking like the 80s skeleton warrior type movie villains design that I kind of like. That's my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Something I've noticed with these is it does feel
You
like
there, Zach?
they're. I'm still there. You got me?
Oh, hold on just a moment. Your sound came off again. There you go. Sound's back. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Ugh. There we go.
Okay.
Hey, you were back on. Then there was like a delay. Then you came off. Okay, you're back. So, like I was saying, the best one I like is the Halifax Highlanders. That look like I said, the logo is like the design of like the 80s enemy skeleton warriors from the 80s fantasy type films, and I actually like that design. It also reminds me of some of those heavy metal covers in Europe as well.
Yes. So I was trying to say before we had connection issues that the branding does seem like they have like a certain style to each one of these in terms of like what is like an IAL team. So I do like that. To me, look, I think we've talked about this, I think coming before we came on air. I'm just curious how this all works out with the setup, like these teams playing each other or not. Because you have, in terms of the split right now, and I'm just kind of going really quick here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have, it should be split 6-6 in terms of Europe versus North America. Credit, something that you should also keep in mind is if they split it and they don't play each other until, like, say, a championship game, you still need passports in North America to go to Canada because Halifax and Saskatoon, you're going to have to need to pay for that. And players are going to have to be compensated for different rates per how you're playing and where, as well as how the transport and how you're able to get the passport status set up. So it's very complicated to me. I feel like there's a lot of details we're missing from the IAL on how this all is going to work that needs to be said very soon.
Yeah, another thing too is we have to remember those that complain here in the US if we're tax high. Oh dear Lord, in Europe you have another thing coming
Mm-hmm.
because they are with the different systems they have, and be glad you're not in Sweden or heck France is very high tax, dear Lord.
Right. Now, I'll be
So
honest. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like the Vegas one isn't far from me. I would like to see that if I couldn't get to Arizona. But like, on paper, it's like a fun dream to have the international side of it. You know, AFL used to have international showcase series when it was in its heyday, and so it's cool. It's cool to have possible indoor style move across the globe, across the pond. But man, we need a lot more explained on how the hell this is going to work. Cause like that, you got a lot of people. I mean, we're looking at these comments of like people talking about this, and it's about, I don't know, basically most of them was like, how the heck is this going to work with travel? What's the pay structure like? You know, passport setups, especially for North America. Like, there's just a lot not answered right now.
yeah, especially it's the players, they all need to be locally signed. If they do a draft, I'm like, oh dear, good luck in people wanting to join that.
Oh Lord. I mean, and some of the markets make sense. Like, look, Stuttgart, they just lost their team. So that's you can advertise that as football there since the ELF's not gonna be able to come back there. Or sorry, the AFLA, or as they are now calling, or AFLE is now they are calling it, with the merger as of today. So you got that. I mean, Halifax has been dying for a CFL team, so I mean that makes sense too. It's another market that has been looking for football as well. So I don't disagree with the markets. Will maybe Las Vegas because it's crowded media market, but like, man, the setup's got to be explained better soon. I need to know
Yeah,
what the heck this is going to look like.
yeah, the like because like you said, like I could just see like some problems here, and like wouldn't be surprised we hear some problems, especially with because we known for some leagues like right before it's training camp, they're there, then all of a sudden it's shut down, and
Mhm.
hopefully this will come to fruition and it doesn't become another blemish in already arena football history, but I like to see something internationally too, because so far, if I recall, like we have arena football in Japan, we have it in China. It just that we need, like, I wanted to expand a little bit more. Though, has there ever been one in Australia? I'm surprised if it hasn't or not.
I don't know if there's been one in Australia. Um, I mean, yeah, arena's been in China. CAFL was a thing during the dying days of the AFL for a few years. I don't remember the Japanese league, though. I know there's Japanese outdoor football. I don't remember if they've ever had arena football out that way. There's been a game in Hawaii in the past. That's happened before, too. But I mean, it's been international. You know, France has had games, as I understand, the UK, you know, it's just those have been showcases. How do you do a whole season? That's the question. Easy in Europe because with the EU and a lot of that stuff, it's very loose to kind of get in between borders and all that. You have an EU passport, you can kind of go as you please. But, you know, like EU to UK, you got to figure out that passport. You know, Canada to the US, you got to figure out that passport. Is there any cross the pond games? Got to figure out the passports and how that travel works.
And believe it or not, thankfully that's good enough time because we're now past the hour mark of our show, and looks that might be telling us the internet said you need to stop now or else it's going to get worse. So thank you everyone for joining us. Me and Zach here for another episode of Arena Frontier. I will because have how the season is because it seems like I'm doing the show more bi-weekly because of how much news is coming up. Usually December, then probably by January it's going to pick up. So, but like you said, Zach, hopefully the next 2 announcements for teams for AF1 happen soon. Yeah. And then we find out how to see this documentary for International Arena League. That might be with that documentary that we'll see this is how the pay structure works and all that stuff too. So maybe we'll find out there. So thank you all for joining us on Arena Frontier on Gateway Sports of all our programs. We got a lot more shows coming. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow our X page and also our Facebook page. Thank you for joining us this evening. See you all shortly next time.